Welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. Today is Mitsubishi Lancer Day. So we had a customer drop the key and basically the little transponder fell out. So we're going to be programming in a transponder for this Mitsubishi Lancer. Year model 2010, make is CY. So basically when he dropped the key, there's a 3-button remote. The transponder was reported to have gone to a different dimension. Spent a bit of time looking for it and eventually they gave up. Decided to call us, so let's go in and program the Mitsubishi Lancer. For this one here we're going to be using the Lonsdor because I've run out of tokens on the MVP and also it's cheaper. So we're going to go through and see how that compares. Okay, so normally I'd be using the MVP by Advanced Diagnostics, but of course the tokens have given me the shits, so I'm not going to be using that. I'm going to be using the Lonsdor. But what I do have is what I subscribe to. I pay money for the instructions, online version of the instructions for the MVP. So I consulted that, but I was a little bit put back that there was no CY model, so that was a bit annoying. I couldn't get the exact model. The next thing is it was telling me that the MVP, it doesn't have any indications of if the car's in lockout mode. So basically lockout mode is when the wrong key has been used or a key with no chip has been used more than 3 times. You can go into lockout mode. Lockout mode means you're sitting there for a good hour with the car on accessories waiting for it to get out of lockout mode, at which stage you can't unplug. You have to leave it all on and plug in, program your key, and then hopefully you're on your way. Also, I found out from the instructions you only get 3 onboard functions with your OBD tool, so after that you have to disconnect and reconnect. Wrong pin. Yeah, so if you get in lockout mode you're pretty much out for an hour. The Silka Smart Remote would have worked on this one according to the documentation. Probably there's a VVDI one and a Key DIY one. Not sure on the part numbers on those, but if anyone knows you can leave them down below, or if you've done the remote and it works good, leave it down below. We didn't get a chance to do the actual remote. We're only doing the key because the transponder was lost. We didn't even have to do the key. We're just basically doing programming the transponder and getting it to work and doing the pin code and all that. That was the other reason I consulted the instructions to know if the pin code was going to be in there. With the MVP it says it's going to be in there automatic, so it was interesting to know whether or not it's going to be in there with the Lonsdor or not. So let's go through and see how that goes. Okay, so step 1 is actually to create the transponder or image the transponder with ID 46 Mitsubishi. So we could have done this a number of different ways, and it's 46 Mitsubishi CDP. So when I was thinking about it, the first thing I did is I just grabbed the VVDI tool, went through the menu, went down to Asia, Mitsubishi, and it came up with all the models, so it was quite easy. It told me what chip to use, PCF 7936 I believe it was, and you just hit enter, and away you go. As you can see on screen, gives you a little tick. Then I tried reading it and it couldn't read it, but it was there. So that was programming it with the VVDI, fairly straightforward. I actually had the CN900, that could probably do it. I also had the Magic Wand, that could probably do it as well, but I don't know, I haven't used it on them, and there was little documentation on that, so I didn't want to muck around, so I just went with the VVDI. I also had the option of using the Lonsdor. I could have used the Lonsdor, but I haven't tried that function yet of image generating on the Lonsdor. And also had the option of using the Tango, but by the time I plug in the Tango and find out it's a paid option or something along those lines, I just couldn't be bothered. So VVDI was the easiest one to use just to set the chip. So now it's time to actually have a look at the key and see what's happening inside. The customer says that he dropped it and the chip went to Never Never Land. So just having a look, the remote control seems okay, and obviously the little chip's fallen out of the side compartment. Now we've got a new chip generated. It's a good time just to pop it in there and then start programming. Okay, now down to the business end. So just looking for the OBD port. OBD port is located on top of the accelerator, just underneath the dash, in between the plastic and the furry material under dash liner, I guess. And before you say it, yeah, I know the camera is absolutely rubbish today. Really not a good camera. I'm going to work on getting another one here. So just plugging in the Lonsdor. The MVP is at home and I'm not using it today, so I'm using the Lonsdor. Everything seems quite alright with it. It's got battery power, plugs in nicely, and I'm just going to go through the menus. Now I have done Mitsubishi Lancers before. I haven't done a 2010 or a CY model before. I have done earlier models, but not this particular model. So with this Lonsdor, I'm hoping that it's going to be covered in there. Being a Japan car, I'm assuming that it should be in there and it shouldn't be a problem. Unfortunately, the camera didn't really capture the whole of the screen. I was assuming it was, but it wasn't, so that was a little bit disappointing. But what I will do is go through and put in some subtitles there, so that way you'd know exactly which buttons I'm pushing and we can go through it. Okay, so we just put in the pin number. Now we're going to immobilizer, and we're finding it by the make first of all, Mitsubishi. So scrolling down, they changed it from little logos now to little dots with the names on them, so Mitsubishi. And then you have region or type, so we selected region on this one. I could have pushed Australia there, but I didn't see it, so I went by Asia, and then I went other, and then after that I went Lancer, and from there I could find the model CY. And then after that it was program key, and it's just booting up its little program now. And then from there you just basically push OK, OK, turn on the ignition next, which I'll do, turning on that one. That allows communication with the programmer. All this information is actually written on screen, so it's a white screen from what you can see, but it's telling me to do this step by step, and the steps are quite clear, which is quite good. So just push OK, OK again. Now here's the tricky bit I thought I'd come unstuck against. It says enter pin, and we didn't have any pin or any auto pin, but I look at the top of the screen and very hard to see, but you see those two rows on the top? They're all the generic pin numbers for it. So I know you only get 3 chances and you can go into lockout mode and things like that, but the first pin straight off the wrap, first cab off the rank worked, and it programmed in the key. After that it basically says do you want to program in another key or do you want to exit, and then from there you just basically either do your second key, remove it, put it in the ignition, go through it again, or you just push exit. So now for the big test. So as you see, the key works, and you did see the immobilizer light come on there just briefly, as I guess it was just registering the key or finishing off registering. That was the setting that I just showed you there, what I found it under. I found it under Asia, Other, and CY. I'm not sure if the menus for CY Mitsubishi Lancer is actually in the MVP, because it wasn't in the instructions, which was a little bit annoying, and I was really happy to see the Lonsdor actually had it there. The Lonsdor also had Australia there too, and I actually skipped that. I didn't even see that. I looked straight over it, but it worked under the Japan, so I was pretty happy. This was the second car I programmed before lunch today, and I was pretty happy with the way both of them worked out. The first one was a Nissan Grey import. It was right on the border between 2 different models, E51, E52, and it was a proxy, so I was pretty happy with the way it had all the menus, found exactly what I needed, and I believe it had a few extra options than what the MVP did, but I'll have to sit side by side and compare them. But for what it had, I didn't really need any instructions. I could just plug it in and walk straight through, and that's what I really liked about it. Even the Lonsdor was pretty surprising. What I was worried about is not having a pin code or getting jammed up with a pin code, and there they were on screen ready for when I needed them, so that was pretty cool. So as far as which tool, well, I'm just going to put my MVP aside. I couldn't be bothered with it anymore. Waste of money, waste of time, and I'm just going to use the Lonsdor, and whatever I can do with the Lonsdor I'll do, whatever I can't I won't. But so far 2 cars straight off the bat worked, no problems, no troubles whatsoever. So another happy day with the Lonsdor, and $120 in tokens I saved by lunchtime, so it's a good day. Thanks for watching.